I want to bring in the Pennsylvania Attorney General, Josh Shapiro. He's coming back with us again tonight. General Shapiro, thanks for joining us again this morning. I think we first talked on Wednesday morning, and you said your kids were bugging you. When are we going to get a result? Are they still bugging you?
George, you're still bugging me, but we're getting closer. Look, clearly the ballots are being counted, and importantly, nothing is stopping that. You know, we just got late word, George, from the Supreme Court of the United States, where the Trump campaign tried to go to again to stop the counting of some ballots. This is their third attempt to go to the United States Supreme Court to stop the ballots. Not only did they not intervene again, but Justice Alito ordered each of Pennsylvania's 67 counties to count all of the votes, including those that were mailed prior to the close of Election Day, but not received until Wednesday, Thursday, or today, Friday, after the election. So yet another significant legal decision that allows the counting to continue.
And I assume that part of the reason you're taking this extra care is to provide a solid defense against any future legal challenges.
Well, look, you never know what legal challenges are going to come. I can tell you we're prepared. There were 6 challenges to our election laws prior to Election Day. We went 6-0. We guarded and protected every legal vote and voter here in Pennsylvania. And if we need to do it again and again and again, we'll do that. The bottom line here is, George, as I've been saying for months, we're going to secure, protect, and count these legal votes. And that's exactly what's happening here in Pennsylvania.
And what's your sense of how far along we are, how much longer it's going to take?
I think you've heard the counties, you know, they're reporting somewhat more quickly. I realize it's slow for folks, and I get that. There's some number of these ballots left. The Department of State can give you the official number. But my sense is that they're going to have the bulk of these done tomorrow based upon the comments that have been coming from the officials, particularly in our 2 biggest regions, Allegheny County and Philadelphia County, where there were still some number of ballots left.
And finally, can you give us a simple explanation of what's at stake with these so-called provisional ballots?
Yeah, I think we got to caution not to make too big of a deal about this, right? The Secretary of State's office, I believe, said that there were roughly 100,000 provisional ballots. So this is when a voter shows up at the poll and maybe a piece of paperwork is out of order, or perhaps they ordered a mail-in ballot, never got it, and wanted to come and vote on Election Day. Well, in order to make sure that that person, say, isn't voting twice or violating the rules or what have you, they cast what's called a provisional ballot. And then in those counties, they go back and they determine whether or not that's a valid ballot. That's the process that is now going to be underway. Folks have tried to figure out, well, which way are these provisional ballots going to split? Obviously, I have no idea how those folks voted, but George, let me sort of lay this out to you based on history. Historically, those provisional ballots kind of generally track what happened in the region where they came from. So if a region is overwhelmingly voting for President Trump, one could logically conclude that those provisional ballots would follow. Again, don't know what's in those votes, but generally speaking, what happened. If you look at the state writ large, where it's roughly equally divided, with Joe Biden having a slight advantage, and you deduce from that those provisional ballots would follow suit, then materially it might not have a whole change at the end of the day on the overall margin. That said, it's important to make sure that we have an accurate count. It's important to make sure that those provisional ballots, which should be counted, are, and the counties are doing their best to get through this process as quickly as possible.
General Shapiro, thanks for your time again tonight. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.